Good cop, bad cop, bad cop.
Cop's body cam catches him planting drugs on innocent man. For anyone out there who thinks the idea of cops planting drugs on civilians is just something you see on TV, this body cam video released this week should give you reason to reconsider. The video is from an arrest made in January by the Baltimore Police. 3 officers were hanging outside a man's trash-covered yard when Officer Richard Pinheiro found an empty soup can. Officer Pinheiro must have wanted to get this guy bad because without hesitation, he pulled out a small baggie filled with white powdered capsules and stuffed it in the can. He then left the area and conferred with his fellow officers by the street. Once the 3 had gone over the plan, Officer Pinheiro turned on his body-worn camera. When he returned to the yard, the video shows him rummaging around for a few seconds before he suddenly finds something. Fancy that. Officer Pinheiro's discovery was enough to arrest the man, whose name has yet to be reported. The man was arrested on drug charges and has been kept in jail on a $50,000 bond he was unable to pay. Unfortunately for Officer Pinheiro, he apparently wasn't aware that the body cam he was wearing has a feature that saves footage 30 seconds prior to activation, just without audio. Busted! The day after the entire video was released by the Public Defender's Office, the charges against the man were dropped. Officer Pinheiro is a witness in 53 other active cases. Prosecutors actually called him in to testify as a witness in a case just days after this incident, and failed to disclose the findings in this video to the defense attorney of that case. The Baltimore Police Department's Internal Affairs Division is now investigating Officer Pinheiro and the other 2 officers involved in the arrest.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Have a hard time trusting cops? We don't blame you.
Crooked Connecticut cop caught stealing from crash victim pleads guilty. A Connecticut state trooper caught by his own dash camera stealing cash and jewelry off a dying motorcycle crash victim pleaded guilty on Wednesday. Superior Court Judge Robert Devlin charged 43-year-old Aaron Huntsman with 2 counts of felony, third-degree larceny, and tampering with evidence for a crime he committed in Fairfield on September 22, 2012. It was supposed to be a routine patrol that September night when Huntsman pulled over near exit 44 on the Merritt Parkway, where a motorcycle had collided with a construction truck. That's when the 18-year veteran, who didn't realize his dashcam was recording, stole from the dying 49-year-old motorcycle victim, John Scalise. The crooked cop then stiffed the near-lifeless Scalise, stealing his $5,000 gold chain from a pool of blood and a $3,700 wad of cash from the former executive of JAS Masonry. When paramedics arrived, one noticed the unusual bulge in Huntsman's front side, which later led the victim's family to further investigate their loved one's missing money and articles of clothing. The former trooper faces 16 months in prison, followed by 5 years of probation. Huntsman is not scheduled to be sentenced until October 3rd.
Cop resigns after security footage shows him beating man with baton. Houston Metro Police Officer Jairus Warren resigned this week after he was caught on camera beating a man senseless with a baton. The footage shows Daryl Giles sitting on a bench when Warren and his colleague, identified as Officer D. Reynoso, approach him. They reportedly asked Giles to leave earlier, but authorities described him as being combative and not cooperative. The 3 speak for a bit, then things turn violent after Warren seemingly kicks Giles' foot, prompting him to stand up. Warren then pulls out a baton and furiously whacks at Giles for around 10 seconds. Reynoso holds him back, but for some reason Warren elects to pull Giles' pants down and seemingly spanks his ass with the baton. They reportedly arrested Giles for criminal trespassing and resisting arrest, charges that were later dropped. Warren resigned this week following an internal investigation, but Reynoso was allowed to return to service following a suspension. Local news channel KTRK-TV Houston reports that Giles was hit at least 15 times. Meanwhile, the Metro Force has passed the case on to the Houston District Attorney's Office, but it's not clear if ex-officer Warren will face charges. Let's hope he does.
Cop who held gun to man's head to impress his friends faces 45 years behind bars. A Maryland police officer who held a gun to a man's head and dared the terrified victim to fight him was, on Wednesday, convicted of first and second-degree assault, misconduct in office, and the use of a firearm in the commission of a crime of violence. Franceschi Santiago is looking at up to 45 years in prison for his actions, which were condemned by the Prince George's County Police Department. Santiago had 2 friends from New Jersey in his police car at the time of the incident in May last year. Prosecutors argued in court that Santiago was trying to impress his pals, who were riding along with him unauthorized. The incident began when victim William Cunningham's cousin was dropping him off outside his house, and Santiago accused the men of parking illegally. After Santiago asked the men repeatedly what they were doing, Cunningham told the officer he would get out of the car and go into his house. That's when Cunningham's cousin began filming the evidence on his cell phone that would lead to Officer Santiago's conviction.
Get back over there. Video this. Okay? He put a gun on my head. You're right. He put a gun on my head. Hey, look. Get back in the car. Get back in the car now. I'm not going to tell you again. Get back in the car. Get back in the car. Get back in the car. Go ahead. I dare you to fight me, son. Get back in the car. Get back in the car.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Biker awarded $180,000 for a kick to the chest. Woo doggies! Captain Rob Edwards is not happy with motorcyclist Justin Wilkins, who was recently awarded a payout for a 2012 incident with the Oregon police officer. To understand why the cop is so upset, we need to back up a bit. Edwards was on patrol in an unmarked police vehicle when Wilkins passed him on a solid line. This is the moment the pursuit begins. Wilkins appears to double down. He hits the gas and disappears for a moment behind another truck. The pursuit continues for nearly 5 minutes, during which the biker can be seen weaving in and out of cars, with the officer hot on his tail. On the straightaways, Edwards was even able to gain some ground on him. The biker is forced to slow down a bit as he approaches an intersection. Edwards comes to a stop as well, but not before knocking the biker to the ground. This is where the officer's adrenaline may have played too big of a role and landed the officer on the defendant's side of the courtroom. Edwards gets out of the patrol car, draws his weapon, and kicks Wilkins in the chest before putting the wild biker in cuffs. Wilkins suffered a broken clavicle and fractured rib, but hopefully the $180,000 from the excessive use of force claim has him feeling better. As stupid as his driving was, you can actually see the moment he realizes a cop was right behind him.